Heads up, Nedra said suddenly, without looking up from his chips. Nicky started and glanced sharply toward the doorway, where two of the prince's guests had just stepped into view. Chest tightening, Nicky dropped down beneath the table and pretended to be engrossed in something on the floor beside the wall. He heard Chufi snort, either with annoyance or with amusement. Nicky ignored him, focusing on making himself as small and unobtrusive as possible until the noblemen had passed by. His heart was pounding when he tentatively sat up straight again. Any of the prince's guests had the authority to demand his services at any time, if they took a fancy to him. So far, the ones who had approached him had only required the use of his mouth, an indignity that was extremely unpleasant, but still far preferable to the alternative. Some of the revulsion he felt must have been visible on his face, because Chufi snorted again and turned to Nedra with an accusing eye. "You're only making it harder for him by coddling him like this. He's got to learn how to deal with life on his own eventually." Nedra glanced at him coolly. "He's dealing in his own way." "Right, look at him. The poor kid's terrified." Nicky glared at him, offended by the callousness of his tone. It was true he was afraid of the prince's guests, but he was just as afraid of the other slaves here. Most of them seemed well disposed enough toward him, but there was a ruthless kind of self-interest among their ranks that he didn't trust at all. "Mind your own business," Nedra said, a note of warning creeping into his tone. "What the kid needs is a good hard fucking," Chufi said with a low laugh. "Knock that shyness right out of him." His mouth curled in a leer as he met Nicky's gaze. "He'll get it sooner or later, no matter how much you try to protect him." Nicky's face flushed at the vulgar prediction, which made Chufi laugh all the harder. Nedra's palm slammed down onto the table abruptly, making the chips there bounce. "What he needs is for you to leave him alone. Game's over. Get the fuck out of here." Chufi's eyes narrowed at the curt dismissal. "Fine." He pushed back from the table with an angry motion, giving Nicky a last dismissive glance. "Have fun with your pet, Dineshvar." Nicky watched him go, the tension in him easing when he realized Chufi wasn't going to return. "He's really angry at me," he said worriedly, chewing on his bottom lip. "Just ignore him." Nedra seemed unconcerned. "It's not you he's angry at. He's had a chip on his shoulder for the past day or so. My guess is one of the nobles got a little carried away with him, and now he's jealous of those of us who managed to avoid getting noticed."